Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.
Welcome to another edition of Panther Sports Talk right here on WIU. I'm your host, Rich Moser. We've got a spring sports edition now. Finally, we get softball and baseball underway. We're joined first here by EIU softball coach Angie Nicholson and her first appearance. And, Coach, we were kind of joking before we came on that we were going to talk conference play, but you guys are 25 games into the season and haven't even played an Ohio Valley Conference game yet so far this season.
Correct.
So we talked about that. You guys – really, tournaments are set up, and that's how softball is played. It seems to be a little bit different in baseball in the fact that a lot of teams kind of meet in one general place, and you see a lot of variety of styles early on. But for you, that's probably a good indication since you're trying to find out exactly where this team is with your first season as a spring coach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's that's what we wanted to spend the whole spring season on is trying to figure out who we are. What we really need to focus on. They need to learn us. We need to learn them. We need to see our strengths, our weaknesses, and we've done a good job of that. Every tournament, I feel like we've really worked on our strengths and gotten them better, and then definitely taken a look at their weaknesses and tried to fix them and make them better. And I think every tournament has shown we've gotten better and better. So. And
you guys have also done that, just looking quickly at the box scores of some of the tournaments. You guys have done it by really some, I don't want to say trial and error, but putting different players in different positions in order to keep your best 9 or 10 players on the field, and probably more, I would think, from an offensive standpoint than a defensive standpoint. I saw one box score, you put Reynae Hutchinson in left field, and not that she can't play out there, but she's played the rest of her career at first base, but in order to keep her bat and another bat in the lineup, that's what you needed to do.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out, offensively, because that's where we've struggled the most is offensively. In years past, that's where they've struggled the most. And we're trying to figure out how offensively to make things work so we can put up the runs we need to put up. Having the pitching that we have. So, we've been, and we're athletic enough, I feel like, to be able to move kids around to do that so that we can keep them in the lineup offensively.
Now, you talk about pitching. That's been a strong suit of Eastern during the regular portion of the season. And a lot of times, and maybe you've seen this, they kind of, I don't want to say they have dead arms when they've gotten into the tournament, but they've been tired. And I know people say it's a natural motion to throw the ball under and your arm doesn't get tired, but the rest of your body does when you put a lot of innings into a person. Yeah.
Well, we also have changed our approach, starting in the fall on how much we throw and our conditioning. And I'm not so sure that was, a big part of what they've done in the past. So I think that will help because, over my years of coaching, I have been able, a lot of schools can throw one pitcher and rely on her. But it's how you go about it. It's how you train them. And so I think that's a big part of, what we've worked on this year is training a little different, going at things a little bit more, with their legs. That's the biggest part in pitching underhand is your legs. And you've got to have your legs in condition. So we've spent a lot of times with, on our legs and getting our legs there.
Now, you talk about the way that the schedule's gone. You guys have really battled Mother Nature, not only here at home, the fact that you had your first home series canceled this past weekend due to all the snow that everybody got that they've been digging out of. It really seeped down and made the surface unplayable. But you guys went through a series you played 2 weeks ago in Coastal Carolina. Your games on Saturday got snowed or rained out. And then you play 6 games in a row and you take about a week off, or it'll be about 10 days before you play again. I guess, how do you keep in a rhythm there as a coach where, okay, we're going to get ready to play. Well, we're going to play 6 games in a row, and then we're not going to play for 10 days.
Yeah, and that is hard. But, again, the positive is we have so much to work on that I feel like I'm okay with it because we can spend this time to really focus on a lot of the things that we haven't been doing well or that we need to continue to pound in and to get. So that's what we're going to spend, the next, 8 to 10 days on is really work on, our weaknesses and continue to pound in those things that we're just turning the corner on, make sure we get it. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to really examine. We've had a lot of, like today we're meeting individually and just talking about those things with each kid on what they really need to focus on this next, for this next week.
Now you guys will finally get to play Ohio Valley Conference play this weekend. You'll head down to Jacksonville State and to Tennessee Tech. Those two teams played each other this past weekend, and Jacksonville State won 2 out of 3. This is your first go-round playing a lot of these teams. So I guess how as a new coach in the league, how do you approach this? I'm assuming you have some friends at other schools that have kind of given you some scouting reports, or do you go into some of these games blind against these teams?
I do what I do with any opponent. It's no different. I do a lot of studying. I do a lot of stat studying and looking at how they approach the game. The stats can tell a lot about what type of offense they run, what type of defense, what do they rely on. So I do a lot of studying, and regardless of who I'm playing, it's no different this weekend than any other weekend. So and that's how we approach the game is how we approach every single game. And we go out there and we worry about ourselves. We don't worry too much about the opponent. So.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck down there this weekend.
Thank you.
Next week when you come back, we'll be talking about finally some home games out here at Williams Field. Be right back with This Week in EIU Athletics.
Panther fans, here's what's going on in Panther athletics. Indoor track wrapped up their season as pole vaulter Peter Garrity placed 11th at the NCAA Indoor Championships in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Baseball went 1-4 last week. They're now 4-15 overall and 2-4 in OVC play. They lost 11-2 at number 7 ranked Vanderbilt and went 1-2 at Austin Peay. On Tuesday, the Panthers were at Southern Illinois. For the result and stats of that game, check out EIUPanthers.com. Softball now 18-7 on the season as they went 3-1 in games against Coastal and East Carolina. Men's tennis starts the OVC season 1-1 and they're 4-5 overall as they lost at Morehead State 4-3 and then won at Eastern Kentucky 4-3. Women's tennis drops their first 2 OVC matches. They're now 6-2 overall and 0-2 in OVC play as they lost at Morehead State and Eastern Kentucky. Men's and women's golf completed play at 2 tournaments in Jacksonville, Florida. The men's team placed 11th at the Don Benbow Butler Invite, and they placed 5th overall at the Butler Spring Classic. The women's team placed 10th overall at the Don Benbow Butler Invite, and placed 8th overall at the Butler Spring Classic. Now here's what to watch for this week. On Friday, baseball with their first games at Coaches Stadium this season. They begin a 3-game series against Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, with the first game at 3 o'clock. On Saturday, baseball with Game 2 of their 3-game series against IPFW, with the game slated to start at 1 o'clock. Men's tennis with a home meet at Darling Courts against OVC rival Tennessee Tech at 1 o'clock. And softball with a doubleheader at OVC rival Jacksonville State, with Game 1 starting at 1 o'clock. On Sunday, both tennis teams at Darling Courts as they take on Jacksonville State. The women's match starts at 10:30 in the morning, and the men's match is at 1:30 in the afternoon. Baseball wraps up their 3-game series at Coaches Stadium against IPFW at 1 o'clock. And softball continues action on the road in OVC play as they're at Tennessee Tech for a doubleheader starting at 12 o'clock. And on Tuesday, baseball back at Coaches Stadium as they host St. Louis at 3 o'clock. And next Wednesday, March 26th, softball with their first home game at Williams Field this season. They'll host Valparaiso at 4 o'clock. For Panther Sports Talk, I'm Ramin Kabasioun. WEIU is your home for Eastern Illinois Panther sports. Panther football.
Here comes the blitz. Jimmy's going to throw it deep down the middle. Laura's out there. Got it. And he's on his way. Garoppolo burns the blitz. Touchdown, Eastern Illinois.
Panther basketball.
All the way. Laid it up. No, another dunk. Petrowski again. Back-to-back rebound dunks.
Panther greats. WEIU is your home for Panther sports.
Welcome back to Panther Sports Talk. We're now talking baseball with EIU coach Jimmy Schmitz. Coach, guys are off to, I guess, not where you want to be in terms of the start, but a lot of it's been on the road this week. And when you look at the schedule you guys have played, teams are just dotting the top 25. And I know part of that was by design because you want to set the team up for the run that they're going to make and the competition they're going to play when they get into the Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah, I mean, our first, 12, 15 games are always really tough. We do it for 2 reasons. One, a chance to play good people, but also, they help us with guarantees and they help us, get out and play. But as a coach, you really thought that would have prepared us for this. And first 2 weekends in OVC play, we didn't really come out of the chute each night. Friday nights we're ready to roll. So, we thought pitching and defense would be our strength. We've not played that well. So as a coach, you got to get surprised by certain things. And We've had some injuries to our pitching staff, minor ones compared to last year. But right now, 2-4 in the conference. A little disappointed in that both of them are on the road, but still wanted to have a little better start than we do.
Now, you guys are a good ways into your season, so we'll kind of recap a lot of it. First of all, congratulations. A couple weeks ago, you got career win number 500 at Eastern Illinois, so congratulations on that. I know they're later in the year when you guys finally do get to play at home, they'll have a little presentation, and the home fans will be able to see us have a little presentation for you for that. So congrats on that. I know a lot of people don't know that happens because, like you said, you're gone for the first month and a half of the season.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes, probably this week, I'll be at Walmart, and someone will yell to me, hey, when you guys get started? And when you're 4-15, I'll say, we're not started. So it's kind of the joke. Most people think baseball starts around spring break, but, as you talk to Angie and talk to me, we're about 20 games in. So, we went down and played Louisiana Lafayette, who's ranked about 7th in the country right now, and Arkansas and Mississippi State, and, played some really tough people. And played some really good baseball. I mean, offense, defense. So, like I said, I don't think we took those two teams, SIUE or Austin Peay, lightly. We, in fact, one of the catchers made a comment. This is going to get us really ready for OVC play, and it only does if you go out and play, and all coaches know that. So we just need to execute each area a little better, and or else it's going to be a hard season.
Now you go back to that first series of the season. You guys went down there and you actually won the opener against Louisiana Lafayette, and so kind of continue that string over the last couple of years. You guys have been able to usually to knock off a ranked team earlier in that season, which I know is good for the guys. It's kind of one of those things that they'll remember as they get older and look back at their baseball careers. But Jake Johansmeyer, who last year I saw him pitch for the first time at Vanderbilt, and I thought did really well there. He pitched that game, picked up the win, and it's kind of become one of the frontline starters for you guys. Even if he's not your ace, at least he's a guy who wants the ball on Friday night and is going to go out there and kind of compete for you. And I know as a coach, you got to like a guy that wants to go out there and be your frontline guy.
He's really special. I mean, his velo is in the 84, 85 range. He never backs down. He wants the ball, feeling good, feeling bad. All teams kind of respond to that kind of action of the pitcher. If he's walking a guy, he'll get a double play ball. So, we're really fortunate to have him in that rotation. Being a sophomore, he pitched a lot as a freshman. Unbelievable. Matt Bourne's our number one guy, who's had some just unbelievable games. Scouts are out there with radar guns all over the place. So that's been a little bit of a factor, I think, where that's on his mind. Not selfishly, but it's just he hasn't been the same guy he was the first couple outings, but. Jake and Matt give us a good 1-2 punch, and that's what you have to have. It doesn't matter if it's an SEC series or OVC. Conference weekends are really different.
Now, you guys went through the non-conference season. You got into conference. You've been 2 weeks already in the conference. Based on the way the weather has wreaked havoc on everybody, especially outdoor sports here in the Midwest, you guys had to go to SIU Edwardsville to play your first conference series. I guess the late change, I don't want to ever say that affects something, but do guys mentally get ready to play at home and then you shift and have to go on the road again? Not that that's an excuse for when you lose, but.
Well, I think you can look at it doesn't matter any sport. You look at home and away records. We know we go on the road those first whatever. The OVC's really pushed that we go the first 2 weekends on the road, and I've balked at that because that's 6 games that you're going on the road. So everyone likes being on the road. Records are always better when you're at home. It's simple. There's nothing a 5th grader can figure that one out. And like I said, I don't think that had to do with it. We found out ahead of time. We had all the reservations. The bus was an hour and a half late. But we had it set up to be there early to make sure we had a good thing. We just didn't play well. And every team has to, like I said, we went to Arkansas and other places and played well, didn't have that real nervous, but in the OVC right now, and I think the coaches are doing a great job, but the team's not just being aggressive in many ways, not only pitching, but defense and base running. So, maybe at home the next 2 weekends will get us going.
Now, you talk about that. You guys will finally be at home this weekend. You had a late scheduled change. You were originally supposed to go up and play in a kind of a round-robin type tournament up at Illinois, but another school in the Midwest, IPFW, needed a weekend series as well, and their field unplayable, just like ours was earlier in the season. They're going to come over here this weekend, so you guys will get a good non-conference series in there. Does that now allow you to maybe see some different guys, or will you kind of stick with what your normal weekend type rotation would be?
No, that's a great question. I mean, we have to find out some things. We have some injuries to the back end of the rotation. We have some infield issues, so we're gonna not change it all around, but we're gonna maybe put Greenfield back into the rotation. He's not done well in the bullpen, and I think he's just overthrowing, thinking he's a closer kind of deal. So, you know, I told the guys, you know, last year we didn't start off well in the OVC. In fact, 0-5, and so after Austin Peay, I said, hey, we're 2-4. We literally have, you know, 5-6 games to get adjusted before J-State gets here. So that's our goal. I mean, we got 5 home games before we bring them in 2 weekends from now. So, yeah, we're going to have to find out some things to feel better about the last 8 weeks of the season.
All right, Coach. Well, like we said, baseball will be at home. It'll be over at Coach's Stadium this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 3-1-1 is what I think the times are.
Yes.
I saw there.
Mm-hmm.
Weather's supposed to be nice especially on Saturday. On Friday, it's supposed to be in the high 60s. So shirts and T-shirts type of for baseball out there, and then be nice on the weekend as well, so everybody can get out there and watch. We're going to wrap up this week's edition with a feature on Reynae Hutchinson. The softball team's still a couple more weeks from being at home out there in Williamsfield. Thanks for watching, everybody.
EIU Softball is in the midst of their first season under a new head coach and a roster featuring several veteran seniors, including Mattoon native Reynae Hutchinson. Hutchinson says that these seniors, who won the OBC championship as freshmen, have had to adjust to a new coaching staff this season, but through the pre-conference schedule, they're buying in to the new style of play.
In the fall, it was rough because I could tell that some of the seniors, they were a little skeptical being a senior and having a new coach this first year. And so I was really worried about going into practice and them wanting to change, but I think since I've been in January, I think everyone has, like Coach said, everyone's bought into their system. They believe in what everyone believes in what both coaches are telling us, and we've made some big changes that I think are going to definitely help us come postseason and throughout the regular season also.
Since I've gotten here, I feel like you can see it, and the thing is, like I said, with them buying into what we're doing and them seeing the results, and we've already stolen more bases than they did all of last year. We're hitting the ball harder than they've ever hit the ball. We're doing things that they haven't seen before, and for them, I think that gives them that assurance that, hey, you know what? We are better than we've ever been. And so I think they're ready to go. It's been an amazing journey, and they're doing everything that I've asked, and we have gotten better, and we've grown, and we've learned from our experiences, and that's exactly what I've preached since I got here. And they are completely 100% into our philosophy, and they see the results. And when I look in these kids' eyes, there's no denying that they don't want it more than anything. It's a great feeling.
In addition to playing softball, Hutchinson has also spent the last 4 seasons as a starting outside hitter for EIU Volleyball. And she says she's thankful for the opportunity to have been a 2-sport college athlete.
It's definitely, first of all, taking a toll on my body. I can definitely tell on these cold mornings, waking up and getting out of bed, I hear a little pop, little creak here and there. But I don't think I can say enough how many friends I've made, how much the coaches that I've played for, and the players that I've played with, how much an impact they've made on my life. And I think there's a few other life lessons, but I think that's the biggest thing, just the friendships that I made and the things that I've learned playing 2 sports has taught me a lot.
I came in the fall and I heard about Reynae, and I heard about this kid that plays 2 sports, and watched her obviously play volleyball and was amazed at just how athletic she was on the volleyball court. And they told me, she's a good leader and things like that. Kept asking about her softball skills, and yeah, she's all right. And so I'm thinking, okay. And they're like, don't get your hopes up. She's not going to be everything you're thinking or you're wanting. And I will tell you what, I think she is everything that I have wanted. And she has really, in my eyes, been amazing to work with. From the day she stepped, in January into our practice, she has been so coachable. Probably the most coachable kid that I've ever come across. She can make an adjustment like that. She knows her body very well. And so I think she has not even tapped into her full potential, and that's what's been amazing. And I think she's shocking a lot of people because they didn't even know Reynae was this good.
So far, it's definitely a lot more than what I expected. I think the biggest change that I noticed from the last 3 years is I'm able to show off how athletic I am a lot more. I mean, when Coach Schutte was here, I had a pinch runner when I would get on base, and so 7 stolen bases for me in the first, 25, 27 games. I don't know that I had 7 stolen bases at all last year. So, no, I think I'm definitely more confident in myself, and I think the team can speak for when they say that they are confident in themselves as well as the other players around them, just because of the changes that we've made.
You know, she could go anywhere, to be honest with you, from 3 to 6. She does a lot of things well. You know, she hits for power. She sees the ball well. She can do a bunt and run. She can do a squeeze. She can, lay down the sacrifice bunt. She can do a hit and run. And that's what you need from 3 to 5. You know, you need that. You need the person who's going to do whatever you ask them to do, and she can do that. And then on top of that, the speed that, nobody told me she had has been amazing because I love speed. So I just love having her. I mean, it's been amazing for her to be in that spot and to be able to do anything I ask her to do.
With Hutchinson's success in both volleyball and softball throughout her collegiate career, she says when she's done at EIU, she wants to be remembered as much for her contributions off the field as for those she's made on it.
I just hope that people remember me personally as a good leader, as a good role model. I mean, it will be nice if they can remember as to how well that I played and stuff like that. But I'm not here to I'm not here just to play softball or just to play volleyball. I'm here to get an education and learn and grow as a person. So I hope that's how they can remember me.
She totally leads by example. I mean, everything she does, you cannot, as a player, you cannot question anything because she's doing what she's asking you to do. So you can't say, well, you don't do it. Everything is by example. She is a great kid in and out of the classroom. She works her tail off. And she just does everything. She's a perfect role model in every single way. And everything about it's positive. Nothing's negative. And when you look at her, it just puts a smile on your face, and you want to do everything she's asking you to do.
I cannot explain how fast it has gone. I got here as a freshman, and talking to the seniors on the volleyball team, they're all, oh, it goes by so fast. It's like just like that, like it went by like lightning. And I, as freshman, I'm like, it's 4 years, not a big deal. 4 years is 4 years. But when volleyball season ended, I was like, that was 4 years. And so I think at the end of the softball season, I'm going to be even more shocked because that's another 4 years of softball that's gone by. And honestly, I can't believe how fast it went. It was 4 years, but it doesn't seem like 4 years.
Reporting for Panther Sports Talk, I'm Brad Kupiak.
And we'll take another look at some of the best plays from the 2013-14 EIU basketball season for both the men's and women's teams. Production for Panther Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Johnson's Automotive Service is a proud supporter of Panther Sports on WEIU. Johnson's is a complete car facility for all your automotive repair and maintenance needs. Johnson's Automotive Service, keeping your life running.